I read 7 books in the month of August, so stick around and I will tell you all about them. Hello readers! I read 7 books in the month of August, and the first one was a book that I read with the BookTube Chicks book club, and that is You Should See Me in a Crown by Leah Johnson. This is a young adult, contemporary, coming-of-age, Black-owned voices and queer story about Liz Lighty, who lives in a Midwestern small town that is obsessed with proms, and she's hoping to be a doctor. She wants to go to college to be a doctor. Her plan was to get a musical scholarship. Unfortunately, that fell through, and then her friends reminded her that there's also a scholarship award that is given to the prom king and queen. She's been intrigued by the new girl and also discovers that the new girl is going for prom queen as well. I absolutely loved this book. I gave it 5 stars. I love the voice it was told in, the family dynamics, and the friends were pretty awesome, the friends for the most part. There are some content warnings for death of a family member and chronic illness, specifically sickle cell anemia. Also racism, classism, homophobia. The pop culture references in this book specifically made me really, really happy. I'm so tired of seeing the same pop culture references in the books that I've been picking up, and this just felt fresh and new. Even though it may have been referencing some of the same things, it still did it in a different way, and I absolutely loved it. It just felt very witty, it was very enjoyable, but overall this debut was the feel-good story that I felt like I needed in this moment. It was just such a pleasure to read, and I would definitely recommend it. The next book I read was with the Libri Labra book club, and it was The Three-Body Problem by Litsy. I hope I said that correctly. I've been trying to research how to say his name, and I feel like I've come across so many different variables. I tried to honor his name how it would be said in China. The Three-Body Problem is the first in a trilogy, and it is a hard science fiction book. Something strange starts to happen on Earth. Science is no longer behaving the way we expected it to, and this is causing scientists to get very depressed and kind of give up because the foundation of everything that they knew is no longer functioning the way they're expecting it to. I think I got a little bit lost during the more sciencey parts. This book does take place in China, so there's a lot of Chinese politics and cultural references and stuff that I also may not have picked up on. It has won a Hugo Award. It's also going to be turned into a Netflix show, which David Benoff and D.B. Weiss are supposed to be working on. That's a whole nother story. I don't think we want that. Overall, I gave The Three-Body Problem 4 stars because there's a lot in there. I think there's a lot to think about and there's a lot to discuss. And I'm planning on giving it a reread. I bought the trilogy box set, so I do plan on moving on with the series, and I think we may be doing that as a book club. But I'm pretty sure I'll have a better understanding of what's happening, maybe not all the science parts, but at least the core of the story by rereading it. The next 3 books I read are all books that I plan on releasing video reviews for, so I'm not going to talk about them too much in depth, but one is Mexican Gothic. I have already reviewed that. That is an Own Voices Mexican book. It takes place in a 1950s mining town. There is a creepy house. There is a creepy family. It is a horror story. I really enjoyed that one and I gave it 4 stars, and I'll make sure to link to my review in the description below. After that, I read Bookish and The Beast by Ashley Poston. This is the 3rd book in the Once Upon a Con series, and it is a geeky YA contemporary retelling of Beauty and the Beast. I've been asked several times if these books can be read independently, and yes, they can, but there's lots of cameos from previous characters, so I loved it so much. I gave them all 5 stars, and I would suggest starting from the beginning with Geekerella, and then the next one is The Princess and the Fangirl. Ashley Poston tweeted something not that long ago talking about how it's really easy to get readers to feel negative emotions, to feel upset or sad or mad or whatever, but it's more difficult to make them feel happy, and that really is the challenge there. And you know, after reading that, I realized that is so much of what she does in these books. She just makes me so happy with all the nods to geeky fandom and culture and the way it's retold, the inclusion of diverse characters. I just absolutely love the series, and I gave this book 5 stars as well. And I'll be sure to link to the review when it's available. I've already recorded it, I just gotta edit it. It should be out soon. Next, I read Lobizona by Romina Garber. This is the first book in the Wolves of No World series. It is an Argentinian Own Voices book that includes Argentinian folklore. There's a lot of Spanish, or maybe I should say Castellano, and it's the most that I've seen in any English written book that I've read. Maru and her mother live in Miami. They had run away from her dad's crime family in Argentina, and the story is really about Manu discovering who she is and what her history is. It also touches upon immigration and a few other things. Again, I loved it. 5 stars. I have reviewed it. It is coming soon, and when it's available, I'll be sure to link it in the description below. The next book I read is Too Much and Never Enough by Mary J. Trump, PhD. And even though it seems to have a picture of Donald Trump on the cover, it's not exactly about him entirely, but it does show you some background into their family as a whole, and it gives you a very clear understanding of how he was raised, what his connection with family members is. Overall, the entire family has such a lack of empathy. It was strange. Honestly, it was kind of hard to believe that people could treat the people they supposedly love the way they treated each other in this book. But, you know, most of it is coming from Mary's perspective. But Mary is a psychologist, and she just really explains her family and the things that happened and how Donald Trump grew up to be the way he is now. I gave it 5 out of 5 stars, and I would recommend the audiobook since it is read by the author. The last book I read was a reread, and that was Twilight by Stephanie Meyer. I don't know if I'm going to reread the entire series. I'm not really in a rush, to be honest. I don't really have too much to say about it other than the story felt a lot more insta-lovey than it had the first time around, and Edward's definitely a dick in the beginning. I don't know if I didn't notice that the first time I read it, or I gave him a pass. Maybe I was used to dating guys like that. I don't know. I'm a completely different person than I was when I had read it originally, and I felt that. I also listened to the audiobook this time, which was not the case the first time, and I know I absorb things differently when I read them with my eyes. I don't know if that also played a part, but if you're interested in a more critical analysis of the Twilight books, Bookish Bethany just did a reread that you can check out. I'll link to her channel in the description below. And also Snark Squad is currently reading Midnight Sun, and they are critically reading that and commenting on that as well. And I'll be sure to link to that in the description below. And before I go, I'd like to show some commenter love to Jocelyn from Yogi with a Book for being the first to comment on my Latinx-a-thon TBR video. 7 more days! I'm so excited! Well, that's everything I read. Let me know what your favorite August read was in the comments below. If you haven't already, be sure to subscribe and don't forget to hit the bell to be notified when I upload new videos. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.